Alright. What we got going on now? Gonna rest. So I just bought the artwork from the Steam store. And I'm gonna read that soon. As soon as we finish this game. Seems to have a lot of lore in there. The dice ain't great, but not bad. Okay. I think I just have to help the flotilla. Let's do this. Flotilla ship. You sit in one corner of the dust house and inspect your work. This dust house, the one where plants from the greenway and some of the steppe species intermingle, has become your favorite. The moss and dust share in the space in curving terraces. The pale knots of steppe silk freckled with yellowing lychal symbiotes. Symbiotes? Yeah? Symbiotes. It is a hypnotic arrangement. You look down and see the intertwining of fungal threads and dust-caked roots and feel a little glow of pride at what has been achieved. You hear the entry lock of the dust house hiss open, and assuming it is Aki, turn to greet her. Sleeper, I should have known you'd be here. Riko smiles her warm smile, leaning on her crutch. You must be the one of the most green-fingered people on the station. You must be one of the most green-fingered people on the station. Riko. Now, has it been so long? She smiles a wry smile. No need for any drama. I met some of the steppe refugees in the greenway. They were gathering plants and I confronted them. Turns out they were very friendly. She smiles to herself. Aki was very apologetic, but I told them they were welcome to anything they liked. She told me I'd be welcome to come see, and well, I thought I'd take her up on the offer. She looks around the dust house with its strange hybrid ecosystem. I have to say, I'm glad I did. I'm glad too. I can see that. Riko limps over to you. She holds out a hand. How about you take me on a tour? You take Riko's hand and walk her around the hybrid dust house. You show her how the steppe silk knots help provide a strong base for the fungal and lychal growths, and how the dust mixes with the spores. You show her the different species of steppe tubers and the way they feed the soil with nutrients that help herbaceous greenway plants thrive. Herbaceous, most likely. 5. She nods along, her eyes bright with ideas. This Herbaceous, most likely, right?
Herbaceous.
Herbaceous. Oh my god. Oh my god. Of plants, soft, not woody. Herbaceous. Is that? Okay, I see. So like soft bodied plants, I guess. Cool. She stops after a while and gestures for you to sit together. I know something is happening with the eye, Sleeper. She looks out at the plants. We all felt the flux event hit and everyone is talking about what's next. I came out here to figure something out, to understand what I might do about it all. You glance at her and see the glossiness in her eyes, and I think I have decided. What you have done here, what Aki and the other steppe refugees have done here, is incredible. A whole new ecosystem built from the strange, artificial, changed remains of two worlds. But I am not of two worlds. I am of the eye. A tear runs down her cheek. Like it or not, I am entwined with the station. I am old growth. I don't have that much time anymore. And it seems to accelerate with every cycle. She frowns. It blurs together, separates, overlaps, comes back to me in strange ways. The time I do have, that's time I want to spend on the eye, in the greenway, watching things grow. She wipes her cheek. One day, I'll lie in those fields and not get back up. She smiles, a tear tracks down both cheeks. And when the green takes me, I'll be so glad. I'll miss you. Rico smiles. The feeling is mutual, Sleeper. She wipes her eyes and turns to you, but that's enough of me blathering on about it. She furrows her brow. What I want to know is what you are planning. I don't know. Rico smiles. We all have to get to know ourselves, Sleeper, to know what it is that drives us. I'm sure you'll decide to act in the manner you know. But you also have to ask yourself why it is so. She places a trembling hand on yours. Don't neglect that. Oh, she suddenly lifts both hands. Don't let me forget this. She reaches into her coat and pulls out a transparent bag of sporing clubheads with carefully preserved root systems. I'd like to plant these. If you go, you'll need them. She looks down at her feet, and if you don't, well, maybe another sleeper will benefit. She frowns. I can offer that at least. Thank you. She nods. Don't thank me. These are yours by right. Rico stands and limps over to a pile of mulch. She delicately takes the clubheads out and beds them into the soil there with precise, expert hands. You should go, Sleeper. I'll be a while. She calls back, not looking away from the job at hand. See you around, she says it so casually, but there's a note of finality to her speech. See you around. You turn and leave the dust house, cycling through the protective lock, back into the cool quiet of the ship. Aki is waiting for you. It's beautiful. She is looking through the observation window, and the green reflects in her eyes. The plants look happy together. She spots Rico with her hands in the soil. Ah, the botanist came. She shoots you a look. A friend of yours? More than that. She nods. She speaks beautifully about the greenway. I should go in and welcome her. She pauses. Are you leaving us? For now. Aki sighs. The first of many goodbyes. She suddenly embraces you, wrapping you in her layers of rough cloth. She pulls back. I wish you a steady step and a clear path. She smiles. A farewell from my world. I wish you the same. She nods and smiles one last warm smile before turning and entering the dust house. You watch as she walks inside, Riko turning with a smile to greet her. She kneels beside the old botanist, and you see her pointing to the club heads, asking questions. You are unable to hear them, but despite that, you can easily imagine the measured, even tone laced with excitement that Riko is using to explain the club heads, the Greenway, and much, much more. You turn, leaving them to their conversation. Your step is light, despite the burdens you carry, and the smile Riko and Aki were sharing is somehow still on your lips as you depart. Crew management or access reclamation. This one's easier for me to do. Let's test this one out. The crews of Ember's Song are effective but headstrong and stubborn. They need direction and management. You manage to convince two rival crews to work together, refitting their ships. Both benefit from the other's expertise. Ooh, that's exactly what I needed. As the docking axis is dismantled and the individual ships refitted, as much of the material as possible needs to be reclaimed. Okay. You expertly strip wires and components from the axis walls as you dismantle them. The crews are impressed. Big engineer coming through. Watch it. Watch yourself now. No intermission. We haven't slept here for a while. We'll do that. Alright, two could die. The partially dismantled Axis floats in the flotilla. You hope it will be enough. The ships from Ember's Song will act as scouts and security for the evacuees. That means dismantling the docking axis. The docking axis is little more than a shell. Everything that could have been pulled from its interior. Every arm not used for docking has been cut away. What remains is a Spartan void with a patchwork of flooring that allows movement. Piles of unusable material are tucked away in corners, but almost everything else has been cleared out. You haven't seen Fatir since you last spoke, and now you are realizing that you probably never will. There are plans to be made, escapes to plot, the shadow of Hearth to escape. On the cycle the flotilla leaves, these ships will disperse too, the moons of Ember spinning out on different orbits. The chaos has become a quiet diligence now, as the time for departure is so near. crews cross the Axis from ship to ship at speed, bringing supplies or advice, perhaps meeting up to discuss travel vectors in hushed tones, or to debate why they haven't left yet and whether they should. Among these singer crews, recognizable for their specialist clothing and often shorn heads, you see the occasional refugee, a paying passenger, or a replacement engineer, or pilot perhaps, come from the eye to seek fortune with the singers. Most of the crews have 2 or 3 of these additions, some more, and you can't help but wish that whatever reason brings them to throw their lot in with the singer crews, they will have safe passage. You feel a strange attachment to these citizens of the eye setting out for the first time. And then one of them catches your eye, crossing the Axis with a crew, carrying a large bag and a nervous look. Hala! You freeze for a second. What is she doing here? She glances around, feeling your eyes on her, and catches your eye. Her face brightens immediately. Sleeper! Tala mutters something to her crew and rushes over, dumping the large bag at your feet and embracing you without thinking. What are you doing here? She sheepishly glances at her bag. Sleeper? She pauses. She pauses again, folding her arms defensively. I'm going to the starboard belt. She waits for your response nervously. Why didn't you say? She sighs. Do you remember me mentioning my family, Sleeper, my brother? You think back to your Giro blurred conversations in the back of the Batayan. He came here with me, with my family, when we were little, just after we left Sinza. She bites her lip. He left when we were both teenagers, jumped on some spacer crew heading to the starboard belt. She sighs. I'm an idiot. She shakes her head. And I'm going after him. She looks down, not sure what to add. That makes sense. She looks at you. It does? She laughs nervously. I'm not so sure anymore. I really don't know if it makes sense, or if it's the right thing, but ever since I heard that was where the refugee flotilla was going, well, I couldn't stop thinking about him. What happens to the bar? Someone will have to run it. She leaves a long pause. I mean, I can ask Francis. He'd be happy to, or one of the others. She blurts out. And of course, if you are leaving with the flotilla, or someone else, I'd be totally okay. You wouldn't need to say yes. It's no pressure. It's fine whichever way. I was just thinking. I'm not sure. Tell her not. Sure. I mean, I just sprung it on you. But she glances at the crew she was walking with, who are chatting a little way away. There's not exactly much time, so considering that, she grabs the key hanging around her neck, the key to the Batayan. Do you want to do it? I can't. Tala nods. I get it. She tucks the key around her neck inside her top. I always do this. Leave everything so late. Make decisions quickly. So I can't change my mind. She kicks at her bag. It's not on you. She looks up, smiling. If you are going to leave, well, maybe we'll see each other out there. She looks out towards the stars. That'd be nice. Maybe once I find my brother. She stops herself. She looks back at you and smiles. I better be going. She nods at the crew nearby. Not a good start to keep my guys waiting. She lifts the bag onto her shoulder. She looks down the curve of the eye towards the overlook. Thanks again, Sleeper, for everything you helped me with. She nods. I wouldn't have been able to leave if I hadn't made things work here. She adjusts the bag. Dad wouldn't have let me. Goodbye, Tala. She sniffs. Goodbye, sleeper. Then Tala turns, heading back to the crew who will carry her to the starward belt. You watch her go, and despite the departure, it is hard to feel sad about Tala. You know her energy will carry her forward, and you hope her brother is somewhere on that bright path. You imagine yourself leaving, like Tala, unburdened perhaps, or maybe carrying new burdens. It is hard to tell. Either way, it will be time to decide soon enough. Ah man, if I didn't come up with the idea for Lem and Mina, they could be going here, and I think this is a way better option for them. No drives active, are you kidding me? I'm gonna go see my man Mortis. He's not here. Do some work. Do I have anything? What? I saw 1, 2, 3, 4. One last game of Tavla. Why not? Ooh, energy. One last time. Home sweet home. So, am I missing anything? Or do I just have to wait? I have to just get as much stuff as I can. I'm gonna do this too. Control? Facility. Berlin's Eye Control Center. Oh my god, I almost messed up. Right. Oh my god. Damn, I wasted some time. Crack the facility. The facility Peak has led you to is decaying, derelict, but they promise the core is still active. You just have to find it. Repaired unit. Sealed housing, that's my house. No way, I wasted. Oh. I really did that. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3. Might as well call it 3. I'm guessing I'll get a interaction now. Peak slate chirps in your pocket. You take it out. A message. The connection is ready. Meet me at Founders Gap, Greenway side, Peak. You clench your jaw. It's time. You find Peak waiting near where you first met, at the entrance to the docking tunnel for the Founders Ferry. They are leaning beside the wall in the flickering light, and you realize now how different they look from when you first met. There is a darkness around their eyes, a sense of exhaustion to their pose, but also a solidity, a sense of purpose and self-knowledge. They look concrete, for want of a better word. Or world? Solid. Sleeper. They spot you, and a small smile crosses their face. Glad you came. I wouldn't be anywhere else, of course. Let's just get this done. Of course. The break in the connection is up ahead. They walk away from the docking tunnel into a ragged, half-crushed corridor that descends into darkness. They poke their slate, and a torch flicks on, lighting the way ahead. As you descend through the layers of the broken edge of the eye, Peak talks, filling the silence. I had to hunt all over this part of the eye to find the point where the connection was broken. They run a hand along the buckled metal of the wall, stooping under the angled ceiling. This hole, the gap, got knocked in the eye when Solheim collapsed. It's possible to tell who did it, but my guess, it's impossible to tell who did it, but my guess is that they tried to scuttle the eye. If Solheim couldn't keep hold of their fancy new station, well, no one could. Peak ducks through a fractured passageway with hanging wires like vines, so this place has always been on borrowed time. I've managed to weave together the old connections and run a new patch down to where the main line still runs through the remaining ribs of the rim. They smile, just keeping those old XPR platforms running. Eshi would be proud if she'd bothered to help. As Peak goes quiet, the corridor opens out into a wider, twisted passage with compartments on either side, thick with wiring. Here, this is the connection point. You can see where Peak has levered off a panel and hooked up a thick cable to the existing hardware. As thick as a tree trunk, it snakes off into the dark ahead, its yellow rings making it look like some huge and exotic serpent. What now? You did all this? Hold on. Here, this is the connection point. You can see where Peak has levered off a panel. I see. And hooked up a thick cable to existing hardware. You did all this? Peak nods. It was an interesting challenge. Plus it helped me keep my mind off things. Peak smiles a weak smile. There's a lot I'd prefer not to think about. You both stand there, staring at the point where the new cable meets the old one, the ends separate, fitted with multi-pin male and female connectors and braced inside a metal framework with a scissoring mechanism. Bring them together, seal them, and the greenway will be connected to the rest of the eye for the first time in decades. Peak shifts their weight onto the one hip, pushing their hair out of their eyes. I feel like this should be more momentous, like there should be some ritual or ceremony. They pause. Or someone should stop us from doing this crazy thing. Are we sure this is right? Peak looks at you with mild panic. Seriously? They laugh. You know what, Sleeper? Just stand back. Peak shakes their head. If it's the flux or this, well then I choose this. They hold both sides of the supporting framework, ready to scissor it close. Here we go. When Peak wrenches the framework closed, and the connectors funk together with a sound that echoes down the ruined corridor into the dark on both sides. Both you and Peak wait with bated breath, unsure what it is you are waiting for. Do you expect the eye to suddenly stop spinning or lurch on its axis? For the power to go out or the shockwave to run through the corridors of the rim? You meet Peak's eyes and suddenly they burst out laughing. What are we waiting for? They put a hand to their forehead. I feel like we just planted a tree and are expecting it to burst out of the ground. They shake their head. But you feel it. You feel it flowing like a stream that has been released from a cave and rushed out into the sunlight, crystalline and clear. You swear you can hear it running in the wires like water, like rain, like steam. It doesn't roar or rattle, but it rustles and reefs there like liquid roots. Peak sees the look in your eyes and stops laughing. You can see it, can't you? You can't see it, not with your eyes at least, but it is everywhere. And now it is out, it can't be put back in. That much is clear. You imagine the rim of the eye like a sponge, like soil, soaking up the gardener and their chorus, the gaps filling with a burbling, constant, growing life. Peak stares at you, waiting for something, anything. Gardener is free. Peak nods slowly and closes their eyes. They go to speak, but the words fail them. Suddenly, Peak's slate chirps. They jump and scramble for it, almost dropping it in the process. But when they stare at it, a look of confusion crosses their face. What happened? Peak's mouth falls open. It's Eshi. They swallow. She's leaving. They look at you with panic. Before you can speak, they have turned away and are moving back up the passageway, back towards the entrance. Wait. They don't turn, don't respond, and you watch their silhouette, lit by their slate's torch, disappear rapidly around a corner. You take out the slate Peak gave you and turn on the torch. The wires all around look like pale roots in the harsh light, and you turn away from them. They are gardeners now. You work your way through the corridors, retracing your steps. You imagine Peak, panicked, running towards the cordon, realizing that their greatest fear has come to pass. You wonder if they will be able to persuade Eshi to stay. If Eshi is going, you think, then the flotilla must be leaving too. The thought makes you shiver in the darkness, and you push it away. You are not ready. You focus on avoiding the hanging wires, the low ceilings, and make your way back out into the lit corridors of the Founder's Ferry dock. Asta is waiting for you. He holds up his hands. Now, Sleeper, no need to fear. He raises his eyebrows. I understand now. It was my mistake to try to force you. A miscalculation. Why are you here? Good. Good. Questions are good. He pushes his glasses up his nose. I am more than happy to answer any you may have. I won't hold you here, sleeper. Caster stands to the side, but I wish to speak. Listen. You stop, giving Caster his opportunity. Caster nods. At first I thought that, if you'll excuse the turn of phrase, taking possession of your particular talents was the opportunity. He smiles a broad smile. But you are more than that, and I understand that now. Your arrival on this station, your ability to touch the networks, this makes you the very definition of a wild card. He touches the rim of his glasses. Senate stats analysis, my analysis, we could never have accounted for you. This system, the Helion system, is about to experience a significant change, about to open up to Senate stats, bailiffs, Conway's claimants, and every industry and element an active can channel that brings. Yet this very cycle, you let another wild card free, Gardener. I have to admit, this development makes me afraid, Sleeper. It makes me afraid what an intelligence like this will sacrifice to protect itself, or what atrocities it might commit through madness. And yet, Caster's eyes glint. What a compelling object such an intelligence is. Let me protect you, mark you out, keep Senate Stat from eliminating by force or legal expediency you, as they will with every other squatter on this ring. Caster clasps their hands together, and in exchange, when Senate Stat comes for this place, you facilitate the handover. You claim the protocols. You give us the Gardener. Never. Caster takes off their glasses and polishes them. Disappointing. You begin to leave. As you approach, he speaks quietly, an urgent whisper. I do not wish to see you lost. You are of great value. If you ever want to see that realized. You pushed past, ignoring him, and his voice fades. The last you see of him is his slow nod, perhaps a mark of resignation, or just another differential gesture aimed at manipulating your response. It doesn't matter either way, you are done with him. You head towards the cordon, Peak and the flotilla in the forefront of your mind. Yes, now screw that guy. Screw that guy. Peak. You arrive into chaos at the cordon. The final shuttles are leaving the ramshackle docks that have formed along the edge of the gap during the flotilla's stay. As they do, groups of evacuees push on board, hoping to be among the final people to escape from the Eye. The fear created by the Flux event became a series of rumors, and those rumors have driven many out of their homes. Others have staunchly doubled down on their position on the Eye, refusing to accept any gossip of a second collapse. You are unsure what you think. Is the collapse a certainty? Will Peak's actions, this cycle, have changed anything at all? You are tired of these questions, and instead set out to look for your friends. You quickly spot Peak and Eshi at the far side of the chaotic bay. You quickly make your way through the crowds, slipping between the gaps in the Russian evacuees, stepping over bags and luggage. Progress is slow, but as you approach, you can hear their voices over the crowd. You try to push closer, but there are many evacuees gathered around them and their shuttle. You have made your decision, Peak, and it puts you against me. Eshi is standing with one foot on the boarding ramp while Peak argues with her. The evacuees are eyeing them, eager to intervene but intimidated by Eshi's evident strength and attitude. Eshi, it doesn't have to be like this. Peak looks desperate, tear tracks already on their cheeks. You can find a way. Eshi shakes her head. I have always protected you, Peak. I have taken you under my wing, but I understand that you are not mine to control, and you have chosen to be here, and not with me, despite everything. I have chosen to stop running, Peak cries out in frustration. You can choose to stop running too. We can stay here and try to live. Don't you remember what it feels like to live, Eshi? Eshi turns away. I remember what it was like to live on Hawthorne. What it was like to be worried for your safety every cycle. To live under the control of my mother, of administration. To work, to maintain something that no one wanted, no one needed, so that our corporation could maintain a foothold in this system. You talk as if this place, in the very same system, is any different. What is there? What is there here for the same grind? I say, what is there here but the same grind? For other masters, for employers, administrators, for those who gain from our struggles. There may not be a corporation controlling the eye, but there is control. There is power in action here. So what then? Peak shouts. You run from anyone or everyone who could ever be close to you, in search of freedom, in search of some perfect place where no one has power over you? Peak is crying openly now. I want to be part of something, Eshi, even if it is broken and suffering, even if it cannot be free. Eshi pauses and takes a deep breath. She nods, her eyes closed. This isn't Hawthorne anymore. We aren't tied by our childhood or by our shared need to escape. We are both just people in this system. She opens her eyes. I release you, Peak. You are free of me. Eshi, please. They hold out a hand. There is a life here if you want it. Eshi turns and smiles at Peak, her eyes wet now too. Then you live it for me, Peak. I can't. And she climbs up the boarding ramp, the evacuees taking their chance to climb on board too. You watch as the shuttle closes its ramps, lifts off and leaves the bay. The crowds are dispersing now, as they get onto the shuttles or say their goodbyes and move back into the main part of the cordon. You push past the last of them to reach Peak. Peak doesn't turn as you come closer. Sleeper, Eshi's gone. She chose to leave. Peak nods. I've known her my whole life. They wipe their face. But since we arrived, we've been going different directions. They turn to face you. I'll miss the Briar, but she'll serve Eshi well. I know that. Sleeper. The shout takes you by surprise, and as you turn to see Soul coming across the bay towards you, the last two shuttles loading up behind him. He reaches you, his suit hissing as he does. Can't believe you'd make an old man run across this bay to get you. He pauses to take a breath. The singers have gone. They left at the start of the cycle. They broke away from the flotilla. You smile as you think of Tala, safely cradled within one of those singer ships, on her way to the Starward Belt and hopefully a reunion with her brother. Godspeed, Tala. What are you smiling at? So interrupts your thoughts. They forced our hand. We have to leave now. So shakes his head. If we follow close enough behind, maybe they'll end up being our scouts anyway. I reckon any hostile spaces out there, they'll give him a wide berth. Pilgrim Seed will need a little time to make our way out of the cordon, but I'm heading back now to get her started. Thankfully, the step ships are sticking with us, so we'll be plenty well supplied for the journey to the belt. He pauses. Anyway, I didn't plod all the way over here to tell you that. So looks between you and Peak with a raised eyebrow. It's now or never, Sleeper. I'm good to my word, and I kept a berth for you. But this is your last chance to take it. He scratches his beard. Make a call. You glance out at the flotilla beyond the bay, beautiful in the light of the Helian sun. You think of the long journey to the starward belt, of the people inside the pilgrim seed, of the possible futures that await. Then you think of the people here on the eye of Peak beside you, of the small shifts yet to come, and the routines that ground you, of promises and possibilities. Stay. You open your mouth to speak and realize this is the final time you will make this choice. You have to be sure. I'm staying. You say the words, and the moment you do, the weight of it all seems to descend on you. You stumble a little, and then stand straight, refusing to be crushed. You feel a tightness in your chest, and a haze blurring your thoughts. So nods. Good luck, he sighs. You'll need it. He grips your shoulder and meets your eye. In the haze, his pitted and rough hand feels so real, so detailed, that it grounds you. Oh, this is cool. And then, it is gone, and so goes with it, quickly moving to the wait and shuffle. As he does, you watch, unable to speak, your whole body pulsing. And then, another hand falls on your shoulder, and it grounds you once more. You turn to see Peak's bright eyes. Let's go, sleeper. You nod, and seeing how unsteady you are on your feet, Peak puts an arm around you and steers you towards the entrance to the bay. As they do, you hear the roar, feel the wind as the shuttle lifts off and angles towards the flotilla. You don't turn, instead you keep your head down and focus on each step. As you do, you feel Peak beside you, holding a little of your weight, and you holding a little of theirs. This is how it will be for many cycles after you both leave the bay and head back into the eye. You will both hold things for each other, remind each other of the choices you made, remind each other why it is important to keep going despite the moments when it seems impossible. You will keep each other going. That support will be vital when the second flux event hits the eye, when it knocks the entire free spoke off the power grid, making the whole station lurch with a sickening motion, when it cripples systems and corrupts processes, leading sections of the station to go dark or start venting oxygen, when holding on is all you can do while the world seems to come apart around you. And yet, somehow, the eye will persist. Systems will resist total collapse in ways that will seem inexplicable to many, but to you and Peak, they will signal the awakening of a new force within the station. That new force will bring with it new challenges and new possibilities in equal measure. Strange growths will be reported all around the station in the wake of the flux event, fungal crust pushing through pipes and wiring. The eye will go wild and fecund. What the hell?
Fecund.
Able to produce a lot of crops, fruit, babies, young animals, etc. It's the super fertile. The eye will go wild and fecund, becoming a station of increasing unpredictability, prone to a seasonal rhythm of spore clouds and sudden growth spurts. There will be a strange and unsettling beauty to this paradigm shift as the greening of the station turns it from a corporate ruin to some altogether new assemblage of biological and mechanical structures. Yo, this is so cool, man. Rico will take on this challenge with energy that seems impossible for her age, and until her final day, she will delight in the new mysteries the eye and its gardener produce. And as this new era consolidates around the station, you will find yourself back in the rhythm of odd jobs and loose contracts, working to keep the eye running and your own needs met, But now, many residents will call for you specifically, and before long, you'll be known as a fixer, a helper, a friend to many. And on occasion, after a long shift at the Batayan, you'll hear the sound of the stray mewling, and you'll crumple up some food and sit and watch the cat eat as if it is the only thing in your world that matters. However, into all this newness, the bad old ways will still intrude. Senatstadt, frustrated by the Eye's resilience, will begin to send more physical threats, and supply ships and traders will suddenly stop arriving, stopped by a blockade of corporate militia. Life on the Eye will be punctuated by wide channel broadcasts from Senatstadt, stating legal precedents and quoting deeds of ownership, staking a claim on the system. Meanwhile, Havenage's hardliners will fizzle out, losing their grip on the Havenage Council. In their wake, Helen will spearhead a series of reforms that will scale back Havenage's overreach, returning them to the caretaker role they had always intended to fulfill. As the cycles roll on and the threats gather, new broadcasts will join them, sent by Conway Extractions, making counterclaims on assets within the Helion system, and many on the Eye will grow quiet, losing their appetite for debating these political machinations as they tilt inexorably towards a corporate war. And ever on the Eye will spin, growing now in strange ways, haunted by strange new growths and hosting cultures of increasing resilience. As the Helion system descends into crisis, you will find comfort in the fungal patterns, the familiar conversations, the spices, and the smells that will accumulate around you as your body continues to avoid unavoidable decay. They settle around you like a veil, and in time, it will be impossible to see the Eye without seeing its many variants and versions, pasts and potential futures. And this masking of the world will mark your approaching end. And one cycle, far from now, that accumulation of memories, of tastes, of people and places and more moments will be the last thing you let go of. But for now, there is only you and Peak, arms around each other, walking slowly out of the bay, two fingers born of crippled systems linked together, continuing despite your origins. And in this frozen moment, you focus on only the next step, because that is the only way you have learned to persist. And to persist is to believe that a future, any future at all, is possible. Yo, GG, good ending. I need to rub some of that mulch on my body, in my eyes and ears. You know? Yeah, I'm definitely going to dive deep into that art book and read everything. And I bought Citizen Sleeper 2, so I don't know when I'm gonna play it, but definitely can't wait to play it. It's gonna be good. Oh, let's see if it lets me reload that. Sheesh, continue. I wonder if I run out the time, so the second wave hits, will I get a little something else? No, I can't it will force me to do this. Interesting though. It will, right? Yeah. I wanted to see something though. I was wondering if we would see little dark clouds of the gardener. I wonder what this is. Oh, I think that was how I left it before. Killer. GG. So I ended up staying